I will admit I've been at this for a long time. And while I was pursuing my agronomy degree at NC State, we actually way back then used books that have an index. And I know most of you all are old enough to know what an index is in a book and have used it. So when I started hearing about all these videos and posts on social media about adding carbon, I thought, well, maybe after all those years in school and better part of 4 decades of turfgrass management, I must be missing something. So I pulled out these old books. This one's from A.J. Turgeon. It's pretty much the Bible for any agronomist going into turfgrass management. When I looked at the index under the word carbon, the word was not there. Then I pulled out another big book. This one's from my second semester of turfgrass management, and sure enough, carbon was listed. One page, just one on page 407. Meanwhile, those videos calling biochar, for example, black gold and acting like adding carbon is some revolutionary concept. So I wanted to cut through the market, tell you what's actually going on here and the real benefits here. But in my opinion, there's a lot of claims that are way overstated. I want to show you what these products can do, what they can't do, and what really makes a meaningful results that you can make an informed buying decision, which is one of the goals of this channel. So if I were to take this cup of water and pour it in this pool, technically I am filling the pool. And technically, because this is from a municipal water source, is chlorine. So I can say that, yeah, I am filling the pool and adding chlorine, but really, how much am I adding? Now, I'm going to break down how much traditional and biochar it takes to move the needle, increase the soil organic matter, stabilize organic matter percentage by 1%. A lot of you are going to watch this, you go, I don't believe it. That's why I cited the publications down below. And that's what these calculations are based on. I don't mean this to deter you from using these products or adding organic matter to your soil. I want you to understand when you're getting marketed these things and guys are communicating things to you or saying things online or whatever they're doing, you need to understand how much it takes to move this needle so you make a good buying decision. There again, and I'll say this at the end. These are products that actually are not a bad move, but this video is to cut through the BS that is out there so you understand it and you know what you're buying. So let's go through these calculations very quickly. Most of these claims about adding carbon really are claims about adding organic material. Adding carbon is a marketing term. At the end of the day, you're adding organic material to the soil, and there are two main categories of organic material out there. The first is traditional, if you will, organic matter. It's compost, peat moss, other organic materials. These are the same types of materials we use in a golf green construction. We blend it in with sands to build a better soil. And when added to soil, they decompose over time. A good rule of thumb is that only 10% of what you actually apply becomes stable organic material that actually counts towards a percentage of organic material in your soil that you will see in a soil test. The second is biochar. Now, biochar is an organic material that has been heated at a low oxygen environment, creating a very stable form of carbon. High surface area, very high porosity that lasts much longer in soil than compost or peat moss. What matters most is an understanding that it's more persistent than traditional organic material and can improve soil properties over time. I know a lot of YouTubers say subscribe and hit the bell, but I say it for a reason. I have almost 4 decades of golf course and turfgrass management experience. I started my channel 3 years ago, and what I do each year is I keep my videos very topical. I create a video on a topic that you need to be looking at: fertility, weed control, wetting agents, summer stress relief. I do it 2 weeks before you need to start thinking about doing those things, so that way you can time it perfectly and have the best possible lawn. The reason why I got into this business is I like to see the fruits of my labor. And if I can help you pull up to your house, look up to your yard and say, hey, look what I did. If I can be a part of that, that's really rewarding for me. And that's why I've started the channel. That's why I'm enjoying it so much. So if you subscribe and hit notifications, you'll get a heads up of things you need to be doing. And I can tell you, in almost 4 decades of doing this, timing is everything. So subscribe and hit the bell. Here's what the university data says across sources like the USDA National Resource Conservation Service, University of Minnesota, and Washington State University. There are strong agreements on this that the top 6 inches of soil weighs about 2 million pounds per acre. That means an increase in organic material by 1%. You'll need 20,000 pounds of stable organic matter per acre. But here's the problem with compost, peat moss, and other traditional organic products. This is why biochar kind of came on the scene. As I mentioned, about only 10% becomes stable organic matter. So, in reality, to increase the soil organic matter by 1% across a full 6 inch soil profile, you're roughly looking at 60 to 100 tons organic inputs per acre. When you convert that over to a lawn scale, for example, that works out to roughly 3,000 to 5,000 pounds per thousand square feet. That lines up pretty closely with what Washington State calculations are. Most of these calculations are based on 6 inches of soil depth. That represents a full root zone, particularly in agriculture. But in turf grass, especially home lawns, a lot of the biological activity is happening in the upper 2 to 3 inches of soil. So let's look at that. So if we only look at the top 2 inches, which is roughly 1/3 of the soil mass, instead of meeting the 3,000 to 5,000 pounds per thousand square feet, you're still looking roughly at 1,000 to 1,700 pounds per thousand square feet to increase the organic material by 1%. Still a lot of material. So, yes, you can improve soil conditions faster in the profile, even in turf with meaningful organic matter change. It still takes time and scale. Now, let's put that to cost. If we use something like peat moss or compost, 2 inch level, you're looking about $500 to $1,000 per thousand square feet. And most of that material breaks down over time. So, you have to continue to apply it. Now let's talk about biochar because this is where a lot of the carbon marketing is focused. This is where really why biochar came on the scene because of the cost of peat and it's breaking down. Biochar is different than compost. It is a stable form of carbon that can persist in soil over decades. So you can improve soil structure over time, improve water holding capacity, improve nutrient retention by increasing the cation exchange capacity as it ages. So unlike compost, which is more of an active food source for microbes to break down over time, biochar acts more like a long-term structural source to your soil. So let's keep this in perspective. Typical biochar application rates often in the range of 200 to 500 pounds per thousand square feet. You don't need as much. Those benefits are gradual over time. This is not an instant fix. It is not a one-time solution. It's a cup of carbon going into the pool of soil. Another thing you need to be aware of is pH. Depending on the source material, some biochar products use very high pH, sometimes as high as 10 or 11. So if you have an alkaline soil already, high pH, that matters. You need to know what kind of biochar you're buying and what your pH is before applying it. I've seen biochar products have charts showing an increase in CEC and pH, but they often don't tell you how much was actually used in that study. So if a company is showing you a high jump in CEC, but only recommending 5 to 10 pounds per thousand square feet, it's fair to ask whether that field rate would realistically produce the same results they're showing in their charts. Based on university and NRCS data, meaningful changes usually take prepared over applications over several years, not a single light application of a product. And one important thing to understand, biochar can tie up nutrients if not properly conditioned. That's why many agronomic systems, biochar is mixed with compost, acidic materials, or nutrient solutions before its application. Compost provides immediate biology, nutrients. Biochar prefers long-term framework, so it becomes a system, but not a silver bullet. A lot of these products are also mixed with biostimulants. I want to be clear. I'm not saying biostimulants are bad products. I'm not saying biochar is a bad product either. But I personally have not found a biochar product or a biostimulant that I can fully recommend at this point based on that gives consistent results. For a short time, I actually have sold turf management products, and I can tell you one thing. You learn very quickly when you go into sales. And this is that specialty products, biostimulants, carbon products, soil additives are often highly pushed by managers. That doesn't make them bad, but it does mean they are heavily marketed to you. So when you hear marketing claims around biochar, carbon sprays, biostimulants, just understand that there is often a strong push to move people away from basic fertility and into specialty products. At the Because here's the reason. At the end of the day, nitrogen is nitrogen, phosphorus is phosphorus, potassium is potassium, and there are subtle differences in those sources. Coated products and urea and nitrogen products are also important as well. But before you worry about biochar, biostimulants, or specialty products, make sure you do this. Take a soil test, have adequate phosphorus and potassium in your soil, select the right grass species and top varieties, follow proper mowing and irrigation practices. Those still are basic blocking and tackling, and that's what matters first. Now, one area where I do agree with the science is water holding capacity. Both compost and biochar can improve the soil's ability to hold water. But again, this takes time. It takes several applications over a long term. If the goal is immediate summer performance, wetting agents are often much better tool in the short term. For example, H2O maximizer from R&R products. I get nothing for saying this. This is not an affiliate mention. It is simply one of the best wetting agents available in practical size for homeowners. I featured it in my 2025 wetting agent video where I referenced a golf course management publication comparing 7 different wetting agents and how they performed, and H2O Maximizer was on top. I had Matt on Facebook, was really impressed the before and after shots that he had using H2O Maximizer. To the point that wetting agents can improve infiltration and water movement in days. Biochar and organic matter help water holding capacity too, but those benefits take months and years to build. If a wetting agent plus a long-term organic matter improvement can be a smart synergistic approach to helping your lawn get through the summer. From my own golf course experience, I use poultry-based organic fertilizers like Nature Safe, one of the courses I managed over several years. I did see less dollar spot, less fungal issues, along with better turf overall health. So there is smoke here to this fire. So, yes, organic and carbon sources absolutely can help, but again, is a part of a long term fertility program. It's not a one and done application. There's also another important consideration herbicide interactions. This is where university studies have shown biochar can have to absorb herbicides, and that can affect pre and post emergent products that rely on root uptake. So if you're using herbicides as a part of your turf program, you need to understand how biochar products can affect these. Let me be very clear about something else. There are no products you can spray on your lawn that will fix compaction. None. And I'll throw down the gauntlet. If somebody can come with a peer-reviewed study showing that on any product anywhere on planet Earth, I'd love to see it. The rest of it is complete total waste of time, money, and effort, and a waste of the can that comes in. Here's the bottom line. Compost feeds the soil but breaks down. Biochar can help you build soil, but that takes over time. Wetting agents can immediately help with water movement and retention in soils, and meaningful organic matter takes thousands of pounds of material, not a small application, definitely not liquid sprays. So get through the marketing hype. So when you're making a buying decision, understand what the product does, understand the limitations of it, and understand how much it would really take to move that needle. There again, I just didn't want you to think you're going to go out there with one application, 5 pounds per 1,000 square feet, and all's going to be right with the world. This is a part of a system. And when we're talking about really organic, and I do have an organic video too, 100% organic, and there is ways to maintain turf, a good lawn using all organic materials, including herbicides. Uh, Cornmeal, for example, is a pretty good pre-emergent, believe it or not. So eh, when you're dealing with organic, it is a part of a system, but there are some serious long-term benefits if you stick with that. So anyway, I hope this helps get you cut through the management. I get a little bit on a soapbox when we talk about biostimulants because I've been on the other side of it and I know how it's pushed, and it fires me up a little bit. I don't like you being taken advantage of. And that's why I made this video. And that's folks of the channel. I keep my videos very topical. If you subscribe and hit the bell, you'll get more videos just like this. And I try to keep them, about 2 weeks before you be doing anything. This biochar one, I kind of had enough is enough of all the videos and all the stuff that I saw online, and I really wanted to get something out there from somebody who, quite frankly, been doing this for 40 years. Yes, I'm an agronomist, and yes, I've had about soil physics in about probably 6 or 7 different college level soil courses, and yeah, I know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I'm agronomist Greg Phillips. Appreciate you watching. Thanks.